Yarn Studio podcast. My name is Zoe, and this is my little show about knitting and the fiber arts, kind of what crafty things I have been getting into lately. So if this is your first time here, a big welcome and thank you for joining me. I hope that you will consider hitting the subscribe button so you can stay in the loop for any future podcast episodes. And of course, a big welcome back to all of my returning viewers. I really appreciate you guys. And if you would like to find me on social media, I am at Zoe Nichols on Instagram and Ravelry, and I do have hand-dyed yarn, and that is also under the name of Felicity Yarn Studio on Etsy. So I hope that everyone is doing well and staying safe and healthy and all that jazz. I know that we are all totally over this whole quarantine life situation. But yeah, strangely enough, I think somehow I'm getting used to this weird new way of life. So anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that too much. You're here for knitting content. I guess the first thing that I will start off with is what I am wearing. And this is the SATURATE shawl by Mara Catherine Briner, who is Orange Knits. And I knit mine. The first three colors are from Hedgehog Fibers. So the very first color is Teacup, and then the next one was Zephyr, and then the light blue is Monet, and then the kind of purpley blue variegated, I want to say it's from River's Edge Fiber Arts. Naomi sent it to me a while ago. I'll leave a link in the description box down below. That's where you can find all of my show notes. I'll link to my Ravelry project page, which definitely has all that information. And then the last color is a Koigu color. I don't remember what it is since they use a numbering system, but I love this shawl. I love it to death, but I never wear it because I find the half circular shawls really awkward to wear unless I'm just wearing it around my neck underneath a coat. I do like it over my shoulders, and that's how I had it on before I started recording, but I just have like a little tank top thing on underneath, and I thought that I should be a little bit more modest for y'all. But yeah, I really love this thing. I did have a sweater on earlier today, and I decided I was getting a little bit too hot, even though it's pretty cold outside today, but yeah, I just kind of like it draped over my shoulders for a little bit of warmth. And yeah, I figured this doesn't get shown off enough, doesn't get enough love. So I think if I was to knit this in the future, I would kind of hack the pattern and do a triangular version, because I tend to wear triangle shawls a little more frequently than the half pie shawls. Because I really enjoyed her method of fading in this. I feel like it's a lot more natural looking, her kind of sequence and the technique that she uses for fading. So anyway, that is what I'm wearing. I do have quite a bit to get through today. I'm going to try not to rush through everything. The first thing I have is I have two finished objects. So first up, I have my Luminary socks. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart, and you will have seen these before if you've been here before, and I've just kind of scooted the sock around so you can see more of the pattern there. I knit these out of Farmer's Daughter fibers in the Eagle Eye colorway. I've mentioned also that this is their 100% superwash merino base, so there's no nylon, so I'm curious to see how these will wear. I didn't realize at the time when I started them, but I did these 2 at a time magic loop top down, and I use size 1 US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I did have a little bit of issues with, I think it's on this one, yeah, on the lace here on this, just this one panel of lace out of the 4 of them, just not being able to keep track of the whether it was a knit 2 together or an SSK. So anyway, I really enjoyed these. I am normally a vanilla sock knitter, but I've been trying to get into the more kind of patterned socks just as something a little bit more interesting and engaging. And I really enjoyed this pattern. It's the first one out of the Handmade Sock Society for this year. So I'll get around to another pattern that she just released a couple days ago, actually, that I'm thinking about knitting later on. For my second finished object, I finished my Sockhead hat. This is a pattern by Kelly McClure. I think I typoed her name on the screen on the last episode, so apologies. And this is knit out of Dandelion and Dogwood in the Frenemies colorway. That was sent to me by Susie of the Elderflower Stitches podcast when we did a swap last December. So I really love this color. I think it is absolutely beautiful. Peach is probably my all-time favorite color. At least currently it is, because it tends to change every couple of years, but I'm pretty obsessed with peach right now. And it just has these really lovely speckles. This is where I was on the last podcast. And I've been debating putting a pom-pom on this thing since it is so slouchy. I do have this pom-pom. I actually found it in my stash. I don't know where the little thing is. And I think it just has, it just has an elastic. So I like the method where you use a button to attach the pom-pom to the inside of the hat. So I guess I'll just thread some yarn through here and then thread it through the hole and then use the button to secure it. That way I can detach it if I want to, because I do like the look of it without a pom-pom as well, but I think that pom-pom was just made to go with this hat. It's a nice gray with some black in there. So anyway, that is my second finished object. I've been very much about the kind of vanilla, mindless knitting lately, with a couple of exceptions. So I'm just gonna kind of breeze through a couple of just quick blanket updates here. I have been working on my baby Battenberg blanket for my husband and his wife, who are... Did y'all catch that? Because last time I checked, I'm my husband's wife. What I meant to say is I am making the Battenberg blanket for my brother and his wife, who are expecting our niece or nephew. So yeah, that would have been even weirder if my brother was my husband. But anyway, I digress. Enjoy the rest of the podcast, y'all. Expecting my niece or nephew in June, so there's no way I'm getting this done in time. I've already accepted that. I'm just gonna have to whip out something quick as a for now gift, and then this the Battenberg might be a Christmas present, or I'll just give it to them when I finish. I haven't decided yet. I counted right before I sat down and I have around 60 squares. I forget how many I had last time, but I did start to join them just because I wanted to feel like I was actually making some progress here. And I feel like it's kind of hard to tell how some of the colors play together unless you start joining them with the little white squares. So I absolutely adore this pattern. It's super addictive to just sit down and whip out, 5 or 6 squares a night. And I have been trying to weave in as many ends as possible. Still have that one to do, but I've been trying to weave in as many ends as possible as I go along, because that just makes it even more enjoyable to sit down and start joining these squares. Unless I abandon absolutely everything else for the next 3 weeks, I could probably knock this out, but I can already tell you that's not going to happen. So the next blanket update that I have is on my semi-precious granny stripe blanket, and I'm just going to pop some footage on the screen really quick of that. I am really close to finishing that. I have about 40 grams of yarn left to keep crocheting around the border, so I didn't want to pull it all out. It's really big and hard to wrangle in and out right now, but I'm so ready to be done with that blanket. It's near completion. It will be done for the next podcast, I promise you that. And just really quick, that is the Granny Stripe Blanket by Attic 24, and I am using Madelinetosh yarn. They did a semi-precious stone collection for Jimmy Bean's Wool back in 2017. So unfortunately those colors are no longer available, but you know, they have plenty of beautiful colors to choose from. All right, I feel like I am flying through these, so this I might have a little bit more to talk about. I have gotten back on track with my Swallowtail pullover. I didn't really get off track. The increase rows just kind of slow me down and I get kind of not excited about doing them. I think I'm losing a stitch, hang on. Oh, yeah, and I'm in the middle of the row, so good job, Zoe. Or am I not? No. I just lost my beginning of round marker. Cool. Anyway, this is the Swallowtail by Jamie Hoffman, and I'm using some of my own hand-dyed yarn. And I haven't gotten too much farther since the last time I showed you. It's where that stitch marker is, one that I made some beaded stitch markers here lately. But I am getting into this color work, and it's been a while since I've done some color work, so I kind of felt a little bit awkward, but once I got back into the rhythm of, you know, holding two strands, it was really kind of addicting to keep going again until I hit another increase row. But I think I am at a point where I've got like 8 or 9 rows before my next increase, so I'm looking forward to sitting back down with this and making some progress, maybe getting through the color work. Well, most of it, because the color goes fairly far down the front of this top. So the other thing that was kind of slowing me down on this was I was on a really short needle or cable. Like I maybe had like a 16-inch essentially needle that I was working with. And so I had to order, all my other cables are currently occupied, so I put an order in with Freeman's Creative, which is a local yarn shop in Durham, North Carolina. They're not super close to me. I mean, they're probably like a 2-hour drive for me, but they were one of the few places that I could order the Chowgoos online that were like in my state. So I could have gotten them cheaper on Amazon, but I chose to support a local business. It really wasn't that much more expensive, and they were here like super quick, like even faster than Amazon right now. So I'm just trying to make good choices with where I'm spending my money right now. So I felt better about spending money with Freeman's Creative. But hey, I understand if you got to save a couple dollars and shop with Amazon. I am not judging either there. So I am using some of my own hand-dyed yarn for this. This is the colorway Sand, which I'm not sold on this name. I may be giving it a little bit more of a creative name down the road. And then it switches to the light pink here as the background color. This is Blush Clouds, and this is Early Shadows. I had to think about that. So yes, I'm really enjoying this. I have been super distracted by my last whip that I'm getting ready to show you guys, but I am looking forward to sitting down and kind of making a big chunk of progress on this as well. So finally, this is the project that has been getting the majority of my attention since I finished my other socks and the hat. I have really been in love with these socks. I've been dreaming about making these socks for a long time. So these are some Scrappy socks that I've been working on. And I have just been using the leftovers mainly from my jigsaw puzzle shawl that I did. Started it last summer and I finished it not too long ago. But let's see here. Let's see if I can remember what everything that I'm using here is. The top is some West Yorkshire spinners, just in a basic gray color. And then the first color is from Birch Dye Works, and I believe it's something to do with gardens, Fuller Garden or Secret Garden, something like that. The next one is from the Fiber Studio, which is a local dyer here in Charlotte. I believe that colorway is Mint. Then this is from, I have the tag for this one here. This is a mini. It was a mini that I meant to use in my jigsaw, but I just never found the right place for it. So this is also from Birch Dye Works, and that is in the colorway Dervout. And let's see, the next one is from my Sockhead hat. That is the Dandelion and Dogwoods. The next color here is from Songbirdery Dye Works or something like that. And it's called Angel Aura. It's a really beautiful colorway. The next one is from Spun Right Round, and I believe that colorway is called Sugar Pop Fizz. This green speckle is from the Fiber Seed, and I don't remember the name of that one. Then I started last night with this Shibui, and I don't remember the colorway of this right off the top of my head either, so I will again leave that on my Ravelry page for you guys. So yeah, I am doing a forethought heel, so I went on ahead and knitted in a stripe of contrast yarn here to know where I wanted my heel to be. I will just go in and do a basic afterthought heel on these in the gray. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the toe in the gray or not. I think it kind of depends on if I have enough colors to like make it its own color, but I think I might just do it in the gray also. So like I said, I've been dreaming about making scrappy socks out of these colors for a long time now. I know there are a couple ways to weave in ends as you knit when you change the colors, and I tried looking at a couple of those videos. I think I understand the concept of it, but getting my hands to do it was not working out for me. So I just have been, at least on this one sock, I've been weaving in some of the ends as I go along, so there won't be quite as many when I'm done. I will say that is probably the only downside to scrappy socks. I know that Denise of the Earth Tones Girl podcast, she has a scrappy sock pattern and a lot of video tutorials on how to kind of make a really good looking pair of scrappy socks. So like I said, I tried to watch some of them. I don't know, I just kind of like to do things my own way. So yeah, I'm doing 2 at a time, top down magic loop. I like a 72 stitch sock, and I did do a twisted rib up top, again on US size 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I did go ahead and purchase a second set of needles with that Freeman's Creative purchase, just so that I could always have a pair of vanilla socks on the needles, and so I could use the second pair to be working on something a little bit more intricate or textured, or has a little bit more interest for when I'm in the mood for that. So I'm loving these socks. They've like been knitting themselves. I want to say that I started them on like Thursday or Friday. It's been less than a week, and like I could finish these in a day or two if I really just had the time to sit down and do it. So I guess that leads me into my next segment, if you will. And that is kind of what I am dreaming and scheming and planning for my future knitting. So like I said, I bought a second set of needles, and I plan on casting on the newest pattern from the Handmade Sock Society. I believe they're called the Cirrus socks. It's one of the type of clouds. I'm going to use this skein of Little Gray Sheep that I picked up when we were in Edinburgh last March. This is colorway Gray Day, which is kind of perfect, and the fact that it is a cloud pattern, or cloud inspired pattern, I just knew immediately when I saw the pattern that this was going to be the skein that I used. And this is in their Steinfine sock base. It is 90%, there's a sticker over the information here. It says 90% pure virgin wool and then 10% nylon. So this stuff is ridiculously soft. It is beautiful. I have another skein that I bought at the same time that has a little bit more green in it. They're two different colorways, and I had kind of toyed around with the idea of maybe making a shawl with them together or something like that, but socks. And I think I talked about using these during my sort of make 9 that I talked about way back when. I'm pretty sure I talked about wanting to use up these skeins of yarn, so I'm pretty happy that it all seems to be coming together for this project. So that will be getting cast on here soon. So the next thing that I am planning to cast on here is a Trescao jumper, and prepare yourself. I am going to do this combination. I'm going to do the fingering weight with mohair held together. This is the colorway from my shop called Mellow Yellow, and these skeins actually came out slightly brighter than they were supposed to, and they look a lot more electric on the screen than they really are. These are ones that came out correctly, and they will be going in the shop this week. It's supposed to be a pale, washed out kind of neon color, but again, it looks more just like straight up highlighter yellow, but I promise you it is a little more toned down in person. So while my mom was here last week, she wanted to dye some yarn, and I know that she has wanted to knit this jumper, and my sister, who is Naomi, she's the yarn curator here on YouTube, and she also is, I believe, currently knitting a Trescao. So since mom is a relatively new needle knitter, I kind of convinced her that she would get the most tech support from us, since we were both planning on or had already started knitting one of those. So yeah, I have dyed up everything that I need for one of those. I just need to find a time to skein some of those up and get that started, get the swatch going. And again, I'll have some Mellow Yellow in the shop probably on Friday, and I'm also going to dye up some more Peachberry. Peachberry was the color that my mom chose for her garment, so I'm going to dye up some of that as well. I'm still getting the beaded stitch markers down and kind of figuring out how I like to attach the findings and all of that, so I'm not quite ready to put those in the shop yet, but I will let you guys know when they are available. Finally, the last thing that I've been making is I did sit down and finish half of that Batt that I showed you guys last time from Feisty Fen Fibers in the Opal Porthole colorway. And this is what the first bobbin is looking like. It is only a 2-ounce Batt, and I really should have finished the other half by now, but I sat down to spin over the weekend, and I had my headphones on, I had my chill playlist going in Spotify, and I was about to get going, and every single time I got into a groove, Spotify would crash on my phone, and I got super frustrated. Like, it happened like 20 times, and finally I was just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm not in the right mind space to finish this, so I just haven't sat back down at the wheel. I really could knock that last ounce of fiber out in an evening. I might do that tonight. But yeah, that's the last thing that I've really been working on other than getting some yarn dyed. Okay, so the last segment we have here is some acquisitions, and I don't know about you guys, but the online shopping, whew, I'm officially cut off. So I don't even have everything here today. I'm still waiting on a couple of things to come in the mail. That's fine, I'll save them for next time. And some of these were gifts also. And these are just my yarny purchases, not other things, So the first thing that I wanted to share with you guys is this Batt that I got from Republic of Wool, and it is so pretty. This is called Little Miss Sunshine. It is American Targhee non-superwash with Angelina and Silk Noil. So there is some sparkle in there, but it is just barely in there. So that amount of sparkle doesn't bother me too much. I've had my eye on a lot of the Batts that she has been putting out lately, and just always seem to miss the ones that I really am drawn towards. So I especially love this end here, the like pinky peach. It's 2.75 ounces, so I'm not sure how I'm going to spin this or what I'm going to do with it yet. This might be really pretty to just get some plain white wool and maybe do like a barber pole through the whole skein. That might be what I do. So that was that. And then Naomi, she sent me a little care package. So the first thing that I have to mention is this stuff, which is delicious. The Yorkshire Tea biscuit brew. Biscuit brew. The stuff is amazing, and I'm like rationing myself out that I can only have 1 cup of tea a day out of that stuff. The next thing that she included was this cute little stitch marker from Hannah of Corner of Craft. A little fox with a flower crown. So I love that. And then she sent me some fiber as well. So these are from the John Arbon textile mill, and this, she just left me a note that says this is Yarnadelic, and I believe the colorway is called the Beautiful Ones, or the Beautiful One. And this is really pretty. It's a nice creamy base with some pinks and yellows in there. It's nice and soft. So yeah, I think this might go into my sweater spin. We'll see. So then the next one she sent is also Yarnadelic, and this is called Pink Moon. And this is a really nice kind of rusty peach color with the like blacks and purples in there. So this is not a color that on the screen I would not have been drawn to it, even though it is kind of in my like peachy orangey colors. But in person it is quite pretty. It's a little bit more subtle in person, and I'm really curious to see how it will spin up, because the way that the fibers kind of blend, and they tend to tone down a little bit when you spin them. So yeah, thank you so much, Naomi. So I'm working on a kind of reverse care package to send to her. That's part of why I've had a few things come in the mail, so that's what I'm going to tell myself at least. I received another kind of lovely care package from one of my viewers, and I'm not sure if she wants me to mention her name, but she contacted me on Instagram and asked me if I would be interested in this book, which is about natural and plant-based dyeing. So that is something that I have kind of dabbled in here and there. It's a completely different method, so it is really interesting to especially find an older book to see what kind of pieces of wisdom I might be able to glean from that. I feel like it's a lot harder to find natural or plant-based dyeing resources online. So of course I just appreciate older things as well, so it's kind of cool to see an older book and what kind of information is in there. But she included some other lovely little goodies, some stitch markers and some tea, and this super fun tote which says Cattitude is everything. And I had deal with a lot of Cattitude this morning, since Oliver was supposed to go to the vet to have a follow-up appointment. He was not getting in the carrier today, so I had to reschedule his appointment. So lots of Cattitude here. So this may not be exactly knitting related, but I know that a lot of knitters collect enamel pins. I've got my little pennant back there where I like to put some of my pins. I've been trying to get a little bit braver about putting them on some of my bags, but my cousin, his wife, has a little Etsy shop, and she works with marine life, and I ordered a manatee pin for me and Naomi, and I have this little narwhal pin, and yeah, she was doing half off, which was extremely generous on Earth Day, so that was back in April, almost a month ago now. So yeah, these are super cute. I know she donates some of her proceeds to charity, so if you guys are into kind of ocean life, or beachy things. She has some other really cute things in her shop as well, and it's called the FinPin or FinPinShop. So it's FinPinShop.com, and she is FinPinShop on Instagram as well. All right, friends, that does it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And I will see you guys again in 2 weeks. I am trying to stay on schedule with recording every 2 weeks. So I really appreciate it. And I will see you again soon. Happy knitting!